Winter is coming. The days are getting shorter. The nights colder. Winter is coming. I feel it in my bones. I see it in the clouds. I hear it in the voices of my friends and family. There is something wrong with this world. It is not right. It is not the way that it ought to be. It is not the way that it once was. There is something wrong in this world. If you have felt that way, you are not alone. It's a question that comes up often. And Scripture speaks to this question. In Hebrews chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, it says that in the past God spoke through the prophets, but in the last days God spoke to us through his Son. God's Son came to this earth, and he is coming again. And in between those two appearances of Christ, we are indeed living in the last days, the last times. In fact, for your entire life, you have been living in the last days. The question is, how will you respond? In my Sunday school class, we're studying the book of 2 Peter, and there's an amazing verse in chapter 1, verse 3. It says that God's divine power has granted to us everything that we need for life and godliness, unless the person in the White House is someone that we don't like. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. That verse says his divine power has granted to us everything that we need for life and godliness, unless a tree falls and destroys your roof of your house. No, that was my summer. I'm sorry, I had that wrong again. 2 Peter 1:3 says his divine power has granted to us everything that we need for life and godliness, unless my finances are disturbed. No, that's not right. It says his divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him who called us. That's an amazing promise. It says that God has given us everything that we need for this life and to live a life that is pleasing to him. And this comes through the knowledge of the one who called us, through the knowledge of Jesus. In Jesus, we have everything that we need for this life, even in these last days. You know, that verse has got me thinking about Jesus and whether he ever felt like winter was coming. It brought to my mind Matthew chapter 20, where it says that Jesus took his disciples aside and said, "We are going up to Jerusalem, and there the Son of Man is going to be handed over to the chief priests, and they will condemn him to death." I think Jesus knew what it was to feel like winter is coming. The question is, how did he respond? In the garden, he prayed, "May this cup pass from me." But it is also true in Hebrews chapter 12 that it says, "The founder and perfecter of our faith endured the cross, despising its shame for the joy that was set before him, and is now seated on the right hand of God." You know, the reality is that God does some of his best work in the winter. In the cross, the greatest evil that has ever been done, he accomplished our salvation. He broke the power of sin and death and made a way for us to become part of his family, forgiven and at peace with God. God does some of his best work in the winter. Philippians chapter 2, verses 14 and 15 says, "Do everything without grumbling and complaining, so that you may become blameless and pure, the children of God in a wicked generation, and then you will shine among them like stars in the sky." The darker the sky, the greater the opportunity to shine. These verses tells us tell us when we do things without grumbling and complaining, when we live lives that are blameless and pure, when we are like Christ and we say, even in these last days, I trust the God who called me, then I can live with peace and with joy, and in so doing, I can shine. This is your Friday Pastor's Devotional. My challenge to you is, will you shine even as winter is coming?